This is a tough climate. There is a lot of chaos and confusion, and I think that's the strategy, right? Is to like unmoor us all. Chicken and egg films, first and foremost, is staying steady. Chicken and Egg Films is an organization that supports women and gender-expansive documentary filmmakers all over the globe, and we provide them with funding, mentorship, and access so that their stories can ignite change. Many of the filmmakers we support, their identities are at the center of the attacks around DEI. We support trans filmmakers, we support filmmakers who are immigrants, we support filmmakers from all walks of life, and some of them are under a lot of pressure to not be afraid. We've really, as an industry, got to be thinking about how we can keep our filmmakers safe and secure, but how we can continue to enable them to tell these critical stories. One of the things that really concerns me is we rely on artists to be able to tell the truth, right? And to be able to shine a light on all kinds of really sensitive political issues. What we don't want to see is filmmakers censoring what stories they tell or what communities they center because they're afraid that they won't get funding or that their film won't be seen. And so Chicken and Egg Films is really looking to continue supporting these hard-hitting films, but also beautiful artistic films that center people who represent the world that we live in. So in addition to the funding that we give to filmmakers, a key part of the support that we provide is in the mentorship. It's the creative and the business support, bringing filmmakers together in community so that they can support one another. One of the key things also, because it's such a relational driven industry, is access. We have multiple different ways that we are introducing filmmakers to agents and managers and distributors and other funders. Those are some of the things that we continue to provide to filmmakers now, as we have always done. I'm seeing a lot of documentary and media funders coming together in different coalitions like the Future Film Coalition. There's obviously media impact funders. There's a lot of good conversations happening and initiatives being taken. And I'm also just speaking to my counterparts one-on-one. I don't think that we quite yet have our ducks in a row. I think we have work to do to get really coordinated, to really decide, where do we put our efforts? How do we do that? How can we have the most impact? But I do believe that the collective action is the way to go, because that is most likely to maximize the impact of what we do, and it also minimizes the risks, quite frankly, of continuing to do this work. My hope also is that, especially some of the bigger documentary funders, foundations, if they can help bring in new funders to this space. I think so many of the issues that documentary films tackle are issues that philanthropists care about. Immigration, criminal justice, reproductive rights, gender violence. How do we sort of educate and engage a new community of donors who see the value of narrative change and filmmaking? How do we bring them into this field so that we can increase the support? Because the percentage of grant making that goes to documentary film is minuscule. It's important to fund storytelling and truth-telling, especially in an age of misinformation and conspiracy theories. And I think that film just has this unique ability, right, to reach so many different audiences, global audiences, local audiences, youth audiences, influential audiences. I also think that we have got to fund more research and case studies around film. I think one of the hardest things for new funders considering funding film is they want to know, well, how do you measure the impact of this work? And they're used to seeing impact measured in maybe a more metrics, output-driven way by more traditional organizations that can say, we built this many shelters, we put this many kids through school, and those are important metrics. But when it comes to documentary film, it's more nuanced. We don't necessarily measure film the same way because we are trying to measure changing people's perceptions, and we're trying to measure influencing conversations, and change is more subtle. And yet it happens, and we have some very clear-cut examples we can always point to, but I think if we're trying to fit the measurement and impact of film into the measurement and impact of other more frontline service-driven work, then we're doing ourselves a disservice. And so we need to be able to educate people more to show them how cultural change is critical to all the sort of broader kinds of change that we are seeking in our work. One of the most common questions that I will get from a funder is, well, how are you different from other documentary funding organizations? Why should we support you? And we are different from other organizations. We do have a very unique approach to our mentorship and our labs and our, community building. And who we support is very targeted, right? We support women and gender-expansive filmmakers. At the same time, we complement other documentary funding organizations, and we need this ecosystem. In my 11 years at Chicken and Egg Films, I've seen a lot of organizations close. I've seen a lot of nonprofits reduce their grant making. There aren't that many of us. And I don't want to see the ones that are out there doing really good, important work not continue to succeed, at the same time that I want to welcome all the incredible new organizations that are coming into this space. I really want to acknowledge what an incredibly nurturing community the documentary funding space is. It is so collaborative, so caring, and we are all in this because we believe in the power of storytelling. And so it's a very creative and fun community that also really cares about the things that matter to us on this planet that we share.